Hey guys, welcome to Bar Z. My name's Stan, and today we've got a shipment, and it's pretty exciting. It's the very first of the American Rotary Hotshot ovens, also known as the Hotshot Oven and Kiln Company. So pretty exciting. My personal oven is right here on top, which I requested serial number 1, and they were nice enough to oblige. But the rest of these belong to customers. We're going to do a box opening on mine, and then we're going to start getting these off to the other people that have pre-ordered. And I've got a few more available, and we're going to go inside and talk about that after we get this skid off the truck. So let's get going. Let's get this thing unloaded and go check it out. Okay, so there you have it. We've got ovens. Let's get them unpacked and let's see what they're all about. I want to get into the top one. That one's mine. The rest of them are going straight out to customers that have pre-ordered, and then we'll talk about if you want to get in on the introductory price. This is a one-time only offer. This is just the introduction of the Hotshot 360 by American Rotary. Let's get to it. Okay, so here's the top box, and this is my unit. And how do I know that? They wrote it right there, Stan's unit. So let's see what you get with a new Hotshot by American Rotary. Let's open a box and see how it's packed. And I know I always struggled with packing. I wasn't a guy that really was a professional packer in production environment, but wow, they've got, it's all cardboard, so it's all recyclable, no styrofoam, and there's an instruction package right on the top, and they've just got kind of folding cardboard sleeves that pack around the oven. And there's a paperwork package here, and we'll go over that in a minute, but it's got some specs on the front. So nice paperwork package. This is one of those packages that after you open it up at Christmas time to put batteries in it for your kids so they can open it and start using it. You can never get it back in the box because you can't figure out how they keyhole everything in there. Wow. Oh, they changed the label. Pretty cool. The label is now black. I have one of the prototypes here, but this one is serial number 1. Okay, so that's all the side pack. Let's see if we can get the turkey out and let the box fall off the bottom. So there it is. Okay. And we're tie wrapped to the door handle, so let's get that undone. So again, with the this is a 20 amp plug. This is a true 20 amp plug. and it should always be wired with a number 12 wire, and it should always be put on a number 20 amp breaker. So this is going to have a rejection feature if you try to use it in your home and don't put it in a receptacle that looks like that. See the little cross piece there on the, I believe that's on the neutral. Yeah, it's on the neutral. The neutral goes in sideways. So that's how those do their thing. All right, so plugged in. We're not going to turn anything on until we're sure that the inside of the oven is clear, which it is not. We've got a cardboard piece in there, making sure the interior doesn't get damaged or get knocked around. So pretty cool. All that would happen there is that thing would just burst into flames. Same door latch you're used to seeing that we covered before. I have a barcode here on the back that says HS360 SN1, which is serial number 1. All the new features are on this one that we discussed earlier. Door limit switch here. Door latch. Improved door latch to help your door alignments. We've covered that before. It's got male and female pegs right here so that your doors are essentially self-aligning. If you've got this oven down on a uneven surface, it's always going to align the door. Audible and visual alarm for end of cycle. USB port right out here on the side that goes right to your 480D. And thermostatic fan on-off control, and behind this plate is a high limit switch that if your outer skin goes over temperature, it's going to shut down the SSR and kill the heat to the oven. So pretty cool. Very happy to get this, but I've got something else in store for you here. The stars will never align like this. This is the very first Hotshot by Hotshot Oven and Kiln. Let's go look at the last Hotshot by Bar Z Industrial. Put that side by side, and then on top of that, we'll put the first Hotshot by Bar Z Industrial next to that. And that's where all three of these ovens are all in the same place at the same time. The stars are never going to align like this again. And I'm going to move the camera and get all three ovens out here in front of you and explain where they're going, what they're doing, and where they're going to live. Okay, well, as I promised, there's all three Hotshots all in a row, and they all have a significance to me. Thought I'd share them. This is the very first Hotshot by Bar Z. This is my prototype bench. I use this as a benchmark for everything that I selected. It's put together with screws so I can take it apart easily. And everything that I put into the Hotshot all got tested on this oven. If I switched thermocouples, it got tested. If I switched alarms, it got tested. If I switched anything on the oven, elements or wattages or anything, it all got tested on this oven. The argon kits got tested on this oven. So this is my benchmark for everything Hotshot. So this is the very first prototype Hotshot by Bar Z. Over here we have the very first Hotshot by the Hotshot Oven and Kiln Company. And we've already gone over that. Everything that thing's capable of. And then over here is the very last Hotshot by Bar Z. How do I know this is the very last Hotshot by Bar Z? Well, it says so right there on the serial number. This one belongs to Christopher Feeble at American Rotary. And it was just kind of a personal thing between he and I. He wanted the last one. I requested the first one of theirs. He requested the last one of mine. So this has got a new home, and over to Chris, and I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to get that in a box and get that out of here. But never again will these three ovens be in the same place at the same time. So the stars are never going to align like this again. It may not mean a lot to you guys, but it means a lot to me. So all three of them in the same spot, pretty cool. Okay, so here we are on serial number 1, Hotshot. New door latch. If you haven't seen it before, I'm going to show you how it works. What it's got, it's actually very clever. It's got a male and female peg on both sides, so they're mirror image of each other. And if the door's out of alignment, if the oven's sitting down on an uneven surface, it'll force the door into alignment. And you can hear that door limit switch click in. I'm going to be really quiet so you can hear it. Okay. And the door limit switch resides right here. So it's going to kill your heating element every time you open the door. Standard feature. The alarm. I kind of wanted to hear what the alarm is all about. So I've already put a alarm in the program, so we can hear it right now. Okay, so it's not terrible. It's not too loud. It's enough to be heard without being super irritating. We can compare it to this one here, and I've got the same one plugged in here. So we're going to execute program yes. Mine is a lot louder and a lot more irritating. So the American rotary oven has a softer alarm. Let me get that noise off of there. All right. So the alarm on the American rotary is a little softer. It still gets your attention. It still can be heard from across the shop. And so I think the new alarm is a good choice. Let's get you down and let's have a look at a couple other things here. USB port right here on the side. And there's software available from the Novus website that lets you do two things. You're going to be able to plug in here and flash program your controller, but also you're going to be able to do status monitoring. So there's two different programs you can download. One is just for flash programming the unit. The other one is for flash programming and status monitoring, so you can leave it plugged in all the time, and on your laptop or tablet or whatever, it'll keep track of it's like, kind of like a data logger. You can see a graphical display of what the oven's done over a period of time. So great little feature there, and we'll hook up to that and see what that's all about here in a little while. So we can run a break-in on this just for the heck of it. They've already got a break-in sitting there, so we can execute program yes. We can run yes, and we've got output, enable the heat, and let her climb. There she goes. Okay, and what we're going to start with here is a standard USB cable. So it's got the flat one for your PC and the old school type USB. So that's the kind of cable you're going to use. And it just plugs into the side of the oven. And then it's going to plug into your laptop. Or your tablet, it could plug into your tablet too. And you'll get a confirmation from your PC. Let me spin you around and get you looking at that PC. Okay, and here we are at the PC, and there's two different programs you can use. One's called QuickTune and the other is called InConfig. And these are both programs that are free to download from the Novus website. InConfig is going to search for your controller, and here it's doing a search for it. And you can see there it hooked to the temperature controller N480D, and it'll tell you everything about it. It'll tell you the firmware version that's in it, and then you hit configure. Let's maximize, and then we're going to go over to ramp and soak programs, and then it's got all your values right here, and you can alter any of these values all the way down. And these are all this is your PTOL menu. Set point 1, time 1, event 1, set point 1, time 2, event 2, set point 2, time 3, event 3, set point 3. So it just runs down, and you can just scroll down and change whatever values you want, and then when you're done, you go up to write up here, and it's going to write it to the controller. Easy enough to do. All right, so that's the one. Do we want to save this? No. Now let's go to QuickTune real quick, and we're gonna read the device really quick. And it's in480D on COM3. It's on a USB, but it can also be on a network. Look for that in the future. You know, these guys over at American Rotary are going to have some that hook up to Wi-Fi. They're going to have some that hook up to Cat5. So you're going to be able to network these ovens and monitor them remotely. Anyways, this is the one we're going to go off of. And I've used these before. I'm not going to say it's completely bug-free. It's got a few issues. Maybe I don't have a version that's completely up to date. As you can see right here, some of it's still in Spanish. This is a Brazilian company, so a lot of this stuff is in Spanish. So a lot of these, if you speak Spanish, you're in good shape. Function de canal da C, da A, B, and D, which are control outputs, off, and alarm outputs. You can do a monitoring on this. Let's find it. A configuration report. Let's see. Firmware update. Save to file. Send to device. Let's go to features. Oh, actually, let's go back to basic. Nope. Alarms, RNS programs, which is your ramp and soak programs. Here you can enter values here. You go right there and change your values. It doesn't like a zero value, so you do have to mess with it a little bit, but it gives you a graphical display of what's on the controller. Let me turn the camera just a little bit. Right over here, there's a graphical display of what you're going to see on the controller. See, it says PSP0 set to 400, timer 1 program set to 30 minutes, set point 1 program 400. So when you change this value here, you're changing this value over here. So pretty cool. And down here on the lower right, I believe this is going to give us a graphical display of what's going on with the controller. There it is there. Okay, so it's going to give you graphical display of your ramp and soak profiles. Back the camera up just a little bit so you can see the whole thing. I'm hoping my camera captures everything on this screen. There. And here you've got basically all your waypoints. So it's got, you start off at 400 degrees, and this is a soak time. Here's a ramp, a soak, a ramp, a soak, and you can manipulate these any way you want, just by grabbing a hold of this and moving it down, and grabbing a hold of this and moving it up. So you can change your ramp and soaks pretty easily. There we just turned a ramp into a soak. So pretty cool. And that's going to follow, and when you hit write to the device, if you send that to the device, that will follow that profile, if that's what you want to do. So it's got a pretty nice graphical display of what's going on. Time sequence down here is basically a graphical display of what's going on with the controller, and this is a type of logger. And I'm going to go ahead and fire up the controller and get it running, and we'll come back to this screen so you can see what's going on over a period of time. This is kind of like a data logger too. If you wanted to stay hooked up to it, you have to be hooked up to it for the data logger to work. All right, so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to start the break-in over here on the Hotshot, and we're going to go to execute program yes. We're going to run yes, and we're going to enable heat, and let her start climbing. And this is going to start giving us information and start generating a display on our laptop to follow what the oven has done over a period of time, and it's expressed in Fahrenheit and time. All right, so let's let this run for a little while, and we'll come back to the chart and see what it looks like. Okay, so I'm back in this QuickTune, and we're in the monitoring phase of it, and I've got it just minimized here. We'll look at it, And you can see I played with the auto tune a little bit, and I got the controller behaving because I had a big overshoot. You see that blue line is our process value. Process values are displayed up here, set points are displayed here, and the MV is your, I would call that your input signal, or what your the controller output, and its detection mode. And you can see right here where I made the change, and we had overshot, and now the blue line's starting to converge with our red line, which is process value against set point value. And this is what our controller is doing now. You can see it doing little steps, and the controller's just tickling the output to try to maintain that temperature. And you can see I've shot over my temperature here, but not by much, only a couple degrees. So I played with the PIDs a little bit. They were always recommend auto tuning your controller at your temperature that you're going to run at, and let the auto tune kind of take over. I'll show you how we're doing on our set point and our control over here on the oven. See here we're 399 on a 400 set point. So, and our output is just barely tickling its way along. It was staying on too long, basically. So I did have to go in and play with the PIDs a little bit, but it's easy to mess with, and kind of fun after you figure out what's going on with it and what it's doing. But auto tune is a wonderful function if you want to just let the controller auto tune itself. Press your P button, go to A tune, and select yes, and just let the controller work its way along. See, now our output is anticipating this dip. See where we're dipping down in temperature? So it's just tickling that temperature, just trying to maintain it, just trying to hold it at that 400 degrees. And it's going to do that again as we ramp up through the other to the other temperatures, when we start going up to the 800s and the 1200s and all that. But I'll bring you back and let you have a look at the graphical display of what the controller's doing. If you like this kind of stuff and want to keep a log of it, it's pretty cool to be able to hook up to the laptop and actually get a graphical display of what's going on with your controller over a period of time in your cycle. After a while, it's just a vacuum gauge on your car. It's fascinating to look at, and it's really cool to drive around and look at the vacuum gauge, but it's really not necessary. If you trust your controller to do what you tell it to do, then after the oven has earned your trust, just let her fly. All right, but she's running hot, straight, and normal now. We're 400 on a 400 set point, and everything's running along really good. These two lines here are running right in tune with each other. They're on a bit of a roller coaster ride, but I'm talking plus or minus 1 degree here. It's nothing like what we had over here. All right, so it's running really good. On a cold oven, on your first ramp up, you're always going to get some overshoot. But that one right there was a skyrocket. We shot past by almost 50 degrees. We blew past our set point. So you can always tighten that up with your PIDs. All right, but this is a pretty cool feature on these ovens that you can just simply plug in to a laptop or a tablet, and get a graphical display of what's going on with your oven. Okay, well, this is what you want to see. Our green down here is our output of the controller. Our blue is our actual process value within the oven, and the red is our target, or our set point. And you can see our first wave, and then you can see that blip right there. That's where I sent the PIDs to the controller, and we came right in, and then there's the rest of us right there. And you can do that with auto tune too. It's just that I remember all my PIDs from doing these ovens so long. I actually have them memorized. So everything's running hot, straight, and normal. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when it transfers. Right now it's just on a 400 degree set point, and so we're 402 on a 400 degree set point. So we're running hot, straight, and normal. And it'll be interesting to see what happens when we switch to our next temperature, which I believe is 800. I think that was our next one. Here's the instructions you get with the temperature controller, which is just kind of a universal instruction sheet. They're handy to have for programming if you want to program it off the keypad. Pretty easy to do. Those are included with your Hotshot. And then here's the Hotshot HS360 user manual. Pretty much the standard stuff that we had before. Maximum temperature, 2000 degree Fahrenheit. Input voltage, 120 volt, 60 hertz. Amperage circuit required, 20 amp. Power is 2000 watt. Controller is a programmable PID. Volume is 360 cubic inches. Internal dimensions are 6 inches wide, 6 inches tall, 10 inches deep. And your ambient temperature is 95F. That's where all the ratings are based on, is a 95F ambient. So that's where they call out their performance stuff. It's always interesting to see other people's paperwork. I gave them mine, so we'll see how they changed it up. Electrical features: Novus 480D programmable controller with factory presets. USB for programming. That's what we're hooked up to now. Failsafe over temp with manual reset thermostat. That's new. That's a high limit switch that's on the outer shell. 40 amp rated SSR with convection heatsink. That's the same thing I used. Kiln style K thermocouple. That's what I used before. Door limit switch. I showed you that earlier. Pretty cool. Easy to read slant top control. I've always liked my slant top control panel because usually you're standing looking down at your control, and those those LED displays are sometimes hard to read if they're facing the wrong way. Heavy duty cord with 20 amp plug. That's a true 20 amp. Make sure you use it. Fully grounded control and oven shell. Okay, let's get down to the mechanical features. Dual layer air plenum for external heat management and precise temperature control. So you've seen before, the oven is a dual shell. 20 gauge 304 stainless steel core construction. So the inner oven is 304 stainless, so you don't have to worry about it rusting, because believe me, that inner shell gets hot. And the outer shell is powder coated. It's got a nice look to it. It's kind of, I think it's called desert tan. And then the door is a 2-inch K-wool insulation. And then it uses the same 16 gauge Kanthal A1 heating element that I always used. And again, a 360 cubic inch work envelope. The performance. The Hotshot oven is equipped with the American Kilns Cool Touch technology, which is your dual plenum design, or your dual skin. Safe external temperatures to allow for safer operation and protection of its surroundings. 120 volt, 20 amp circuit required. That's a no-brainer. 2000 watt heating element, 17 amp total oven load. 2000 degree Fahrenheit, 1093 centigrade maximum operating temperature. Your controller can be, it doesn't say that here, but your controller can read out in either Celsius or Fahrenheit, either way, just a flip of a switch. Ambient temperature to 2000 F in as little as 40 minutes. Room temperature, empty oven. It says maximum ambient room temperature is 95 F. I live in Southern California. Who are they kidding? I've already run this thing in 110 degrees and it works fine. Let's see. Starting your oven for the first time. This will be interesting. You know, my instructions. Those of you that have already had a Hotshot, that have the Bar Z Hotshots, know I like to inject some humor into my instructions. So we'll see how much some of my humor they left here. Please carefully remove all packing material from the inside of your oven. Visually check that the element hasn't been bumped or moved during shipping. Do not block any vents. Keep the back of the oven fan unit at least 3 inches away from from a wall or any other objects. Okay, good advice. The fan is on the back of this thing. You don't want to block that vent. Do not attempt to duct the exhaust of the fan unless the exhaust has a power vent compatible with Do not attempt to duct the exhaust of the fan unless the exhaust has a power vent compatible with the CFM of your fan. So if you're going to run like a dryer vent or something outside, make sure it's a power type vent. And I guess you could put a flex hose or one of those aluminum hoses on there and duct it to the outside. But it needs to be powered because the little fan in the oven isn't capable of external ductwork. Your temperature controller has been pre-programmed to outgas the oven automatically and anneal your heating element. Place the oven on a level, non-combustible surface. Apply power. Control power equals on. Heat enable equals on, door equals closed. Press P once for execute program equals yes. Press P again, run equals yes. And then you press P one last time and that returns you to the main screen. Those were my instructions to the letter, how to start your ramp and soak program. Oven will start at 400 degrees and work its way up to 1800 in time segments. After 1800 is reached, it will slowly cool down to ambient to anneal the heating element. Run command will automatically be removed at the end of the sequence. Do not open the door until the process is ended and the oven has cooled. Okay, well, next up, if you're firing your oven for the first time, here's what you can expect. Important, do these steps in a well-ventilated area or outdoors if possible. Note the oven fan is regulated by the oven core temperature, therefore it will not turn on immediately. It is thermostatically controlled, so the fan will cycle and it doesn't matter whether the control power is on or off. The fan is on its own circuit. Oh, this is what you're doing for your initial break-in. Run and heat soak for half an hour, 400 degrees F. Slide odor and burn anchor lube and assembly lubricants. Small amount of smoke. Kale board will turn chocolate brown and start outgassing. Next up is run and soak for 45 minutes at 800. Odor from the insulating board will really begin to stick. You'll wonder if this is actually normal. Don't worry, it is. If you open the oven door, expect to see a fire show of outgassing contaminants and heavy smoke. Next up, run and soak for 1 hour at 1200. Run and soak at 1 hour for 1600. Cooling fan should have kicked on by now. And the smell is still very strong. The inner insulating board of your oven is starting to cleanse itself by turning white. And there'll be a brown ring around the door that will move away from the inner shell as the temperature increases. Run and soak for 1 hour at 1800, all downhill from here. You have burned off most of the impurities from the insulating board. Inner oven should be chalk white. The brown ring on the door should be fading. Second and third firing, slide odor will be present, decreasing with each subsequent firing. So good instructions on what to expect when you're breaking it in. A lot of people freak out when you break these things in. Let's go to one of these pages here. Oven on temp now. We're going to talk about auto tune a little bit. I've already covered that. Safety recommendations. Pretty good. I do want to get into the programming just a little bit. Okay, ready to program the controller now. And here's all your ramp and soak values that you can plug in there. Everything's expressed in times, temperatures, and events. So time 1, set desired time. SP1, set desired temp. Event 1 is off for off, and A1 for an alarm if you want an alarm to sound during that segment. And you've got 9 available, which is usually more than you need. At any point, if you want to put in a 0 value in any time segment, the controller will stop the sequence there and remove the run command from the controller. Now, if you're using the software like I showed you, which is the Quick Tune, you can monitor with the controller up and running. But what I don't want you to do is try to send any information to the controller while it's in the middle of a ramp soak. Monitoring is fine, but don't try to reprogram it on the fly. Remove power from the oven before you do that just by turning off the control switch. There's also a password, which I'm going to include right here on this page. I'm going to put the password into your controller for flash programming, which you're going to need for sure. So there you have it, all 3 ovens in the same place at the same time. The very first one Bar Z built, the very last one Bar Z built, and the very first one that American Rotary built, also known as the Hotshot Oven and Kiln Company. So pretty cool that all 3 are in the same place, and now they're going to get split up. But I just wanted to mention that we've got some ovens available. If you guys want to, I know a lot of you guys pre-ordered from me, and these ovens are going to get opened up. They're going to get a Bar Z paperwork package put inside. They're going to get checked for programming and make sure they're going to run correctly when you get them. I'm 100% check. I'll check every single programmer and make sure you're not having any problems with it. And like I said, you're going to get a sticker package and stuff like that in each box for all the ones that come from Bar Z. But I did order some extras, and these are after this lot is gone, it's gone. They're available for $849 plus shipping, which is actually cheaper than what I used to sell them for. By the time you took a standard Hotshot and upgraded it to the ramp soak controller and put an alarm on it, we were sitting about $880. And this introductory price of $849, $850 is actually cheaper than what Bar Z used to do. So there's some, you're seeing the buying power there of a large company where they can go out to these, they're treated as an OE, and they can go out to these other companies and buy in quantity and get a great price, which I was never able to do. I have a hard time with people taking me seriously. So, you know, good on them. That's great that they can go out and get those kind of things going for them. All right. But send me an email if you're interested, if you want to take advantage of the introductory price. Next batch is going up $150, and so they're going to be $999.99. So they're going to be $1,000, probably by about the first of the year. So after these are sold out, they're sold out, and this price will never come back. All right, guys, I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you on the next one.